At 24, Alex's life ticked along like a precisely calibrated clock in a quiet Illinois suburb, swinging predictably day after day. He worked as a dispatch coordinator at a mid-sized logistics company, a job that demanded little creativity but provided a stable living. Every morning at 6, Alex rose with the faint dawn light. Every evening at 6, he clocked out under the glow of sunset. His world was small: a rented apartment, a used Toyota Camry, and a modest but steadily growing bank account. Like most people his age, Alex had simple, concrete plans for the future. Work hard, save for a down payment on a small apartment, maybe upgrade to a new car, and at the right time, meet the right girl to build an ordinary but warm family. A reserved and frugal person, Alex tracked every expense in his phone's notes, finding his greatest joy and sense of accomplishment in watching his savings climb. He believed that as long as he stayed on this well-laid track, life's train would carry him smoothly to a happy destination. But an uninvited guest derailed his path. A coworker named Ethan, who, like a rogue meteor, crashed into Alex's life in a way he couldn't foresee, dragging him into an abyss of ruin. Ethan was Alex's opposite. Outgoing and talkative, he always wore the latest designer clothes, his expensive watch gleaming under the office lights. He seemed to have an endless supply of money, ordering the priciest takeout during lunch breaks and boasting about new upscale restaurants or weekend Vegas binges after work. At first, Alex had no fondness for him, thinking they belonged to different worlds. But Ethan's desk was right next to his, and his infectious laughter and endless chatter made it impossible to tune him out completely. Ethan began subtly flaunting his wealth code to Alex, tilting his phone screen to show a flashy online sports betting site, its scrolling numbers and blinking odds dazzling Alex's eyes. Pointing to a freshly settled bet, he'd say casually, "Look, Alex, it's that easy. One NBA game, halftime, and bam, $1,000 in your pocket. More than we make slaving away here all day." He repeated these lines like a seasoned preacher, selling Alex a gospel of easy riches. He'd often pat Alex's shoulder, his tone dripping with temptation. "Come on, man, don't be so rigid. Life's short, you gotta enjoy it. You're smart, you'll figure it out. Let me show you the ropes, Alex. I'll make you rich." At first, Alex firmly declined. Deep down, he had an instinctive fear and aversion to gambling, instilled by his parents' warnings that it was a devil's game that devoured souls and fortunes. He saw Ethan as a reckless bad influence and stayed wary, politely responding, "Thanks, Ethan, but I'm not into that. I prefer keeping things steady." Yet human weakness lies in this. Resisting temptation once takes immense willpower, but temptation itself is tireless, always circling back. Ethan's boasts grew more brazen, his winnings larger. One day, he'd won $3,000 on a football game, the next, $5,000 on tennis. He started buying Starbucks for the whole department, hosting weekend parties, his status and popularity soaring. Alex watched him, then looked at himself, and a subtle shift began to fester inside. His stable life started feeling mundane, his frugality a sign of weakness or cowardice. Why could Ethan live so freely while Alex toiled like a worker ant for meager pay? Resentment and jealousy, like creeping vines, wrapped around his heart. Finally, one unremarkable Friday afternoon, Ethan slid his phone toward Alex again, showing a record of winning over $10,000. With a grin, he said, "Alex, last chance. There's a big game tonight. Miss this, and you're out of luck." In that moment, Alex's defenses crumbled. He thought, maybe I'll try it, just a little money. If I lose, it's a lesson. If I win, it could open a new world. Naively, he believed he could control himself, that he'd be different. Little did he know, by nodding yes, he'd flung open the gates of hell. Under Ethan's guidance, Alex downloaded the betting app and linked his bank account. For the next 2 months, his life seemed to hit fast forward, careening toward a cliff. He lost every penny of the savings he'd scraped together over 3 years of early mornings, late nights, and penny pinching. That money was his entire investment in his future, the down payment for his dream apartment, his buffer against uncertainty. But in that virtual casino, it turned into cold, fleeting numbers, vanishing with each wrong bet. Alex still vividly recalls the feeling, lying awake each night, eyes wide open, sleepless. The ceiling became a giant screen replaying his losses. His heart felt gripped by an invisible hand, every breath laced with sharp pain. He'd check his banking app obsessively, the once proud 6-figure balance, now a pitiful 3 digits. He began scouring Reddit's gambling recovery forums, reading stories as tragic as his own. Each post was a mirror reflecting his wretched state. Fear like he'd never known seized him, and he resolved to stop immediately. He deleted all gambling apps, blocked Ethan's contact, and kept his distance at work. He told himself, "Alex, you've got a long life ahead. Money's gone, but you can earn it back. There's still a future." He thought cutting off temptation physically would free him. But once awakened, the gambling demon doesn't leave easily. Ethan, undeterred by Alex's avoidance, lingered like a ghost, finding ways to reappear. In the break room or hallway, He'd casually mention his latest wins or hint that the platform was paying out big, now, a rare chance. Alex's mind was a battlefield of reason versus desire, agonizingly torn. Eventually, luck's lure won out. He thought, I've lost so much, my luck's gotta turn, right? Maybe I can win it all back. He quietly unblocked Ethan and re-downloaded the nightmare-inducing app. This time, Ethan taught him a crazier game. He said betting with savings would never make you rich, you had to use leverage. He showed Alex how to exploit his good credit for credit cards and online loans. In that loosely regulated era, Alex easily secured over $200,000 in credit, money that wasn't his fuel to false courage, like a drug. For the next month, Alex seemed possessed by a gambling god. His luck was unbelievable. Nearly every bet hit perfectly. His account balance skyrocketed, not only recouping his losses but adding tens of thousands more. He felt invincible, a gambling genius. As a once quiet, frugal man, this sudden wealth warped his values. He began spending wildly, as if unleashing decades of suppressed desires. He walked into luxury stores, buying a $4,000 to $5,000 watch without blinking. He dined at upscale restaurants, flaunting steaks and champagne on Instagram. He upgraded to a pricier apartment, bought the latest gadgets, and basked in others' envy. The high was more addictive than the winnings. But cursed money comes and goes fast. When it ran dry, his only thought was to return to the casino and win more. Gambling wasn't about profit anymore. It was about sustaining the glamorous facade he'd built. When luck inevitably turned and losses piled up, Alex lost all reason. He upped his bets to recover, only to lose more. In one manic weekend, he not only burned through his winnings but squandered the entire $200,000 in loans. In a single year, he went from a young man with savings to a gambler $400,000 in debt. The weight of debt crushed him. Unable to hide it, he confessed to his family, the darkest day of his life. He still sees his father's face, contorted with rage, cursing him with venom he'd never heard, shaming him as the family's disgrace, a hopeless failure in front of relatives. His mother's tears burned like boiling water on his heart. His dignity was shattered. To escape the environment, and Ethan, that devil, Alex quit his job and fled the town. He took a higher-paying job, hoping for a fresh start. Without Ethan's influence, fueled by lingering rationality and guilt toward his family, he miraculously stayed clean for a year. He lived like a monk, working tirelessly, saving $75,000. He thought he'd beaten the demon, that his life could restart. But fate loves to strike when hope glimmers. That December, Alex attended his cousin Leo's wedding. The night was lively, alcohol flowing. Drunk and exuberant, Leo dragged relatives and friends to the city's fanciest karaoke bar. In the glitzy, hedonistic private room, everyone reveled. But when the bill, over $7,000, arrived at dawn, the mood turned awkward. People feigned drunkenness or buried themselves in their phones, unwilling to pay. Leo, the groom, was passed out. To save face in the tense silence, Alex reluctantly swiped his card. He assumed Leo would repay him once sober, but Leo never mentioned it, even dodging Alex's hints. Fury and humiliation consumed Alex. He couldn't confront Leo over just money without losing face, but the betrayal stung. That sense of being taken advantage of mingled with the old sting of gambling losses. The angrier he got, the more a dark thought resurfaced, the betting site. He told himself he wasn't gambling. He just wanted to win back that $7,000, then quit. For that petty sum, for his trampled pride, Alex relapsed. Once Hell's Gate reopened, it wouldn't close. Before January's holidays ended, the $75,000 he'd painstakingly saved vanished in days. Rage and despair devoured his reason. Like a rabid beast, he stormed to Leo's house, confronting him in front of relatives, demanding repayment. Leo tried to dodge until Alex rallied witnesses, forcing him to grudgingly transfer the money. Seeing the $7,000 hit his account, Alex felt no joy, only hatred. He hated Leo, this unfair world, and his own weak self. In front of Leo, he opened the betting app and wagered the entire sum, wanting to show he didn't care about the money. He despised Leo's hypocrisy, spending beyond his means. Predictably, he lost it all. His bus ticket back to his new city came from begging in advance from his new boss. His spirit shattered. 3 years' wages from before, plus a year's savings now, for years of youth and effort, gone. His family had already covered $200,000 of his debt. Unwilling to accept defeat, he became a desperate gambler, obsessed with winning it back. He turned to sports betting, especially soccer, naively believing major events like the World Cup or Euros, watched by millions, were real and free from manipulation. At first, he bet casually, his addiction mild. But soccer became his calling, an all-consuming obsession. After work, he didn't cook or watch TV. He pored over odds and spreads. Locked in his room, he analyzed data like a Wall Street trader, team form, injuries, past records. He devised a scientific strategy, betting on matches where the score was 0-0 by the 25th minute of the first half, wagering on over 0.5 goals. He figured a goalless half was rare in professional soccer. 1 goal, and he'd win. He'd stop after 1 win, never getting greedy. Smug about his genius, he won $800 to $900 daily, sometimes more, amassing nearly $50,000 in 2 months. He felt like a prodigy again, scorning those slaving for wages as foolish and pitiful. But a gambler's strategy is powerless against cold probability. Disaster struck one unassuming night. Alex picked 10 matches to bet big. Bizarrely, the first ended 0-0 at halftime. So did the second. In the third, a goal was disallowed. One by one, his bets failed in the unlikeliest ways. From evening to dawn, all 10 matches ended goalless in the first half. His 2 months' winnings plus 2 months' salary vanished in one night. His world collapsed. He pounded the walls until his hands bled, driven by one thought: borrow more, win it back. His new job's benefits gave him pristine credit, making him a prime client for banks and lenders. In a month, he borrowed $450,000 to $500,000. He abandoned all strategy, betting on anything, U17, U19 youth matches, not caring if they were rigged. He just had to keep betting. That $450,000 to $500,000 disappeared in under a year. His salary went straight to loan interest, barely keeping the debt from spiraling. He dreaded overdue notices reaching his family. But the truth couldn't be hidden. One loan, misremembered by a few days, led to collectors calling his father. The secret was out. His father drove overnight from their hometown, not speaking, just grabbing a wooden stool and beating Alex until he couldn't walk for a week. Alex didn't hate him. It was a father's desperate, helpless rage. To clear his astronomical debt, his family made a gut-wrenching choice: sell their half-mortgaged lifelong home. The $500,000 from the sale wiped his slate clean. It should have ended there. Alex should have reformed. But instead of comfort, he faced relentless verbal abuse. Every family conversation, over meals, watching TV, any moment of respite, dredged up his gambling sins. He was the family's pariah, unforgivable. In that suffocating environment, quitting was impossible. His parents saw him as a wasteful failure, never considering gambling addiction as a mental illness needing therapy and support, not daily verbal lashings. Their accusations didn't reform him, they fueled rebellion. If they thought him rotten, he'd prove them right. By day, he kept up his job. By night and weekend, he drowned in gambling. His phone was glued to live soccer animations, red cards, yellow cards, corner counts, the only color in his life. He lied to himself. This wasn't gambling, it was high-risk investing. He set monthly plans, quarterly goals, like a hedge fund manager. His $10,000 plus monthly salary, enviable to most, meant nothing to him. Corner bets, over 5 goals and a half, penalty shootouts, he bought into anything. Years of gambling left him isolated. He'd borrowed from every friend, $500 from some, $60,000 from one. He never touched relatives' money, his last shred of principal. His debts came from loans, credit cards, and friends who once trusted him. Last night, sleepless, he tallied it all with trembling hands: $693,000. A crushing sum for anyone. He's asked himself countless times why he can't just earn honestly and quit. But has the world given him time or chance? Take his friends. What are friends? Others' friends stand by them. Alex has stabbed him in the back. Nobody wants to be a deadbeat who'd choose constant debt collector calls if they had money. Years ago, a friend needed a car. Alex lent $30,000 without hesitation. For 6 months, he never asked about it. The friend repaid with just $300 thanks interest. This past New Year, desperate, Alex borrowed $20,000, promising repayment by March 1st. At 6 a.m. that day, still asleep, Alex got his friends demanding texts. Anyone knows you don't chase debts at dawn, it's bad luck. Wait till noon. But he ignored their years of friendship, hounding Alex at sunrise. To pay him, Alex scraped together $9,000, still short. Desperate, he gambled to cover the gap, and lost it all. If the friend had waited 2 weeks for Alex's payday, he'd have been repaid. His parents? They never call unless they're upset, using Alex as an emotional punching bag, reopening old wounds. Friends? He has none left. He envies those online sharing recovery stories. They had people to guide them. Alex never did. This job ends this month. He senses the collector's calls and debt disputes will soon reach his workplace. Rather than be fired, he'll quit to save face. He's done with his parents and that home. From now on, he's alone, facing a tidal wave of overdue debts. Maybe it's for the best. When his credit is ruined, when no one will lend him a dime, maybe then he'll be forced to quit gambling for good. At 32, his life is reset to zero. No hope, no future, just endless ruins.